Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for the city of Petaluma for hosting this. My name is Bret Munselle. I'm a fifth generation Alexander Valley wine grape grower. My family's been farming in Alexander Valley since the late 1870s. Right now, to give you a little background on us, we farm about 250 acres in Alexander Valley. It's not much more than what we've been farming in basically my grandparents' and my parents' times. I was told to speak specifically about where do you see the industry in 10 years and what are the challenges facing your industry. So I'd like to start with where do you see the industry. I feel super fortunate to be in the wine grape industry in Sonoma County. Not only do we live in one of the most beautiful and fruitful areas of the world, we're lucky to have a climate, a topography, a water supply that's very advantageous to producing high quality wine grapes and of course wines, foods, fruits, vegetables. I often am asked, I think because of the sluggish economy, where do you see your industry and how do you feel about your industry over the next 10 years? I feel extremely confident in the wine grape industry. If I wasn't, I've been in the industry now for 11 years full time, but probably for most of my life in actuality. If I didn't feel confident in it, I wouldn't have put my career and based my family's lifestyle and living in this industry. So I feel very confident in the industry. Recently, the United States has become one of the top consuming wine nations in the world. That bodes very well for our industry. We are continuing to produce high quality, high-end grapes all throughout California. So those things help me believe that it's a positive trend for our industry and excited to be participating in it. So I guess that's to skip through, those are the positives. The challenges, of course it's always easier to talk more about what's challenging you day to day because that's of course what we're focused on. I have three main challenges that I probably will talk about today. One is educating the public. The second would be regulations, dealing with regulations, shuffling our way through the new regulations that are out there. And of course, the third is water. Water seems to be the issue of our generation. I suspect that will be the biggest issue for the rest of my working career. First, I think it's critically important that we can share the value of agriculture, and I, of course, will speak specifically of wine grapes in our industry, with the general public. I want people in Windsor, Petaluma, Santa Rosa, who don't get to be out in the fields, who don't get to be out experiencing the environment on a daily basis, to appreciate what's out there and what it does for their lifestyle, what it provides for our community, our environment. Of course, this is an environmental group today, and that is the focus. And I could go on forever about all the advantages of agriculture towards the environment. But a big part is how to educate, how to share with the general public what we have out there. I don't have the answers for those questions, but I know that that is critically important, and I'm happy to speak about that or to anyone, anytime, to share with them what we do, how we feel about our environment, where we're going with our business, what we're doing to improve our business. Those things I think are critically important to share with the general public. Secondly, would be regulatory challenges. This seems to be what we spend a majority of our time on now. When I say we, I'm mostly talking about myself and my father. 25 years ago, when I was 10 to 12, it was my dad and my grandfather that were basically farming the same acreage, and they were doing everything from, they drove all the tractor, they did all the mechanic work, they oversaw the crews that we had working for us, they did all the irrigating. They pretty much were covering our entire business. They were spending maybe 5-6 hours a week in the office. Neither one of them appreciates or wants to be in the office, so they were totally happy there. Now for me, we have full-time supervisor for our crews that has to be fully trained, CPR and safety, and we have 3 to 5 full-time tractor drivers covering the same acreage, remember. We have somebody that does most of our mechanic work. That leaves myself and my dad to oversee our business enterprise and to spend hours working on whatever the next regulation is, whatever the next report is, permit is. And I find that's more than just frustrating. Those don't add to our bottom line. Those don't add to our productivity. Those also aren't the fun things to be doing with your day. Right now, I'd say I'm spending 30 to 40 hours a week in the office, when most of that office time I don't feel is super productive. It's what we have to do to be in business, and I'm happy to be doing that. But what we'd like to be doing is getting out and being in the field, looking at our vines, working on the things day to day, irrigating, fertilizing, that actually contribute to our bottom line. I want to give a couple of small examples of things we've been working on with regulations and why it can be so frustrating. I know most people in here have something that's near and dear to them as far as working towards a regulation. And everybody wants them to be simple. They'd like them to be a small part of what we have to do. But if you tack on so many simple, small new regulations, they become slightly overwhelming. So recently, we were asked to register our standing diesel engines in 2008. Not a big deal, not a very hard process, very simple registration. And the fees were not very large, $140 per engine. We went ahead, we did all of ours that we have. We have 6. In the process, it was also asked, could we start replacing some of these older engines to upgrade them, better emissions. My dad is very environmentally friendly. He wants to get out there and be ahead of the group. So we started replacing those engines. Over the last 3 years, we've replaced 5 of the 6 at a cost of approximately $200,000. I will say we have had good support from the Carl Moyer program to help fund some of those replacements. So we've gone through that process. We've upgraded 5 out of the 6 engines. And over that 3-year time period, now the fees, that small $140 fee has gone up 25%. We're now required to track diesel use, hours of use. Individually, that doesn't seem very hard, but when you're tacking those on top of one regulation after another, they become a big deal, and that is what I spend my time doing, tracking and reporting, submitting that type of information to whatever agency is asking for it. This is going to kind of lead me into the next of my points, and that is water. Just yesterday, we sat in a meeting and listened to the State Water Board's new proposed regulation for frost water in the Russian River Valley. Russian River watershed. That is a huge deal to us. That is something that will affect us dramatically. Of course, we're frost protecting all of our vineyards from wells and don't want to lose that ability. That is a huge part of reducing the risk. That's our big insurance policy for us to get through the season, that we can frost protect. Of course, there's other ways to frost protect, none that are quite as effective as water, the main one being wind machines. So it is possible for us to go in, replace our frost protection system with wind machines, but I just did it quickly, what we would need to do as far as dollars to do that, and it would be in the vicinity of $280,000 to $300,000 for us to replace the frost protection systems that we already have in place to a wind machine system that could be very functional. Alone, that is probably possible for us to accomplish, to get that done, but so disappointing to have just spent $200,000 on engines for frost protection systems over the last 3 years, and then to be not forced yet, but to be headed the direction of needing to replace those. Of those 6 engines that I spoke about we replaced, 4 of them are only used for frost protection. So it's like this regulation circle is really hampering our productivity, is stopping our effective business decisions, and it happens so quickly. The most recent one with the frost water in the Russian River watershed is basically come from changing what is considered reasonable use of water in the Russian River watershed. Always before, reasonable use has been considered irrigation, municipalities, frost protection, and because there are other options for frost protection, I think that it's come under scrutiny as an unreasonable use. Totally petrifying to me that so quickly they could change our whole business structure and what we're doing by changing the definition of one word. So those are the three biggest issues that I can really see over the next 10 to 20 or 100 years. With that said, I will say I love our industry, I love the county, I love being part of a family that has been farming the same ground for 135 years, 140 years. I can't wait to be a good steward of our properties and pass that on down to my children and hopefully their children. I can't see why, I don't want to see any reason that we can't do that going forward. So thank you very much.